Hi, everybody. Peter Greenberg here with our global travel update. Saying hi to you from the city of Linz in Austria. Actually, I'm floating on the Danube right now. I have to let you know, I know this is going to come as a shock to many of you, but it's not blue. Other than that, lots of things to talk about today. And of course, you can always give me your comments and questions as we move through the program. Let's talk about some stuff that's going on that does affect you. Some good news. All the indications are that airfares are not just dropping now. They're now going to drop for the first 3 months of 2024. We've looked at all the metrics on this, and they seem to hold up. They could drop as much as 24 to 29% over what they were a year ago, and that's good news. Same thing for hotel rates. I've been saying this for a long time, that those high rates are not sustainable, and that's coming true right now. So plan properly. There'll still be some pop-up sales that you'll see between now and, let's say, the 20th of December. Jump on them because they're not going to be around much longer, but they will be good in many cases through the end of May of 2024. So know about that. It's been a crazy week already. I'll give you one example. The Delta Airlines flight. You may have heard about it. I reported on it on CBS News earlier this week. It actually happened on Sunday. It was flying from Amsterdam to Detroit. Well, not exactly. About midway through the flight, they had an emergency with one of their engines, and they needed to get the plane on the ground right away. They declared an emergency, and they diverted to a very interesting location, Goose Bay in Canada, in Newfoundland. Now, Goose Bay is not the diversion airport of choice. It's usually Gander, but there were some weather issues as well. They needed to put the plane on the ground. Goose Bay had a long enough runway, and they did it. But then things got a little crazy because Goose Bay is a military base. Not a lot of hotels, as in none. Not a lot of provisions for an A330, like none. You had 270 passengers on board who needed a place to sleep because they weren't going anywhere. So they spent the night in barracks, very cold temperatures. Delta then sent a replacement A330 to get them, but because of weather, the crew timed out. There was nobody to fly them home, so they then sent a third A330 to get them, and they finally got out on Monday. Interestingly enough, what about the first plane that had the mechanical? What happened to that? There's an interesting story that most people don't know about. It happens more than you think. What happens if a plane breaks in a place where you can't fix it by flying it to a maintenance base? You got to fix it where it is. And that's what's going to happen in Goose Bay. It's happened many times before. Both Boeing and Airbus have teams that are known as AOG. It stands for Aircraft on the Ground. And the Boeing team's up to about 93 different, very specific personnel with different specific expertise. And what do? They fly to wherever that plane is. They set up shop. They fix it there, and they fly it out. Easier said than done. You may remember many years ago, a Qantas 747 landed long on the runway in a rainstorm in Bangkok, went off the end of the runway, basically smashed into trees on a golf course. Lloyd's of London wanted to declare the plane a total loss. Qantas said not so fast, because our whole branding message is we've never had a loss of an airplane. So they cut a deal to fix it there. And Boeing flew about 93 people in 110-degree weather then in Bangkok. And they spent almost 2.5 months putting that plane back together again, and it flew out. Another crazy story happened in New Orleans. A Taka 737 was on a final approach when, guess what happened? Hit by double lightning, knocked both engines out. He had no power and not enough altitude to get to the airport. He spotted a dry riverbed and kept the wheels up and made a belly landing into a dry riverbed. Everybody survived. The plane was pretty messed up, but they decided to fix it there. So not only did they fly their team there, and not only did they jack the plane up, remove the engines, replace the engines, fix the landing gear, but you can't take off from a dry riverbed. So they got as much plywood as they could, knocked out a few little hedges and ridges, put enough fuel in that plane so it could only get as far as New Orleans, and they flew it out. So it's amazing what they can do when they can actually fix a plane. That's what they're going to be doing in Goose Bay. My guess is they'll fly a group of maintenance guys in maybe even a replacement engine on another cargo plane and fix it on the ground there. Some crazy stories. Okay, we talked about airfares. We talked about Delta. I already told you the Danube isn't blue. Let's go on to some other stuff we've been talking about this week on our website. If you go to our website with the imaginative name petergreenberg.com, you'll see our piece on which credit cards, no more timely than now, will actually give you protection if your flight is delayed or canceled, if you bought your ticket on that credit card, and how much money they'll actually give you. Most people don't even know they have that benefit on many of their credit cards, so check that one out. And also, you know it's coming around the corner, the Paris Olympics 2024. Is it too late to get tickets, and how are you going to get them, and where are you going to stay? You'll see my strategy on that as well. Just go to petergreenberg.com and you'll see that on our newsletter. If you're not already a subscriber, it's free. There's no charge. We're not transactional. We sell nothing on the site. We just give you the information you need. Over-tourism was topic A back in 2020. It's still topic A today. We saw it happen earlier this year when Bhutan tried to impose a huge surcharge for anybody going there. Didn't quite work out the way they wanted. A lot of people didn't go, so they reduced the cost. Now more people are going. What happened to over-tourism? Peru had a cap in Machu Picchu of 3,800 people a day. That's it. No more. Can't get any more. But you know what? They need the money, so now they've increased the cap to 4,500 people a day. Over-tourism again. And then the one that still kind of hurts, if you run the numbers, is Greece. Last summer, 30,000 people a day climbing up that hill in 100-degree weather to see the Acropolis. People were passing out, right? Dehydrated in heat. So Greece decided, okay, we're going to solve this problem. So they've reduced the number allowable up that hill every day to just 20,000. Is that really solving the problem? I don't think so. So there is that. And then my funny story of the week. Yes, I have a few, but this one is about the woman in China. And by the way, there's a lesson here for all of you. First of all, let me back up and say, when I go to a restaurant, I'm sorry, I'm old school. I hate the QR code. I want to hold a menu in my hand. I want to be able to take the time to look through the pages and see what I want. I don't want to scroll. I want to gaze. In any case, a lot of restaurants don't give you that option anymore, even with the best of intentions. This woman, and hold on to that thought, how many of you foodies like taking pictures of the menu or the food? Everybody has to know what you ate. Okay, fine. So she goes to a restaurant in China and has to hit the QR code and makes an order. And as the food comes to the table, or at least the appetizers, she takes a picture of it. But what is also in the picture? That QR code, which somehow translated to what her order was. And some internet pranksters did what? Continued the order. They ordered 1,800 orders of duck blood, 2,800 orders of squid, 99 orders of shrimp paste, and she got a bill for 431,000 yuan, which works out to about 50,000 British pounds. Luckily, the restaurant said nobody can eat that much. Duh. And they're able to catch it. But if you're going to take a picture of your food, do yourself a favor. Make sure there's no other identifying information on that picture, because you may get a lot of stuff you didn't order. Anyway, that's a funny story about that. All right, let's scroll down and see a couple of friends here, and we'll scroll all the way to the top. Hold on. Here we go. Adrian saying hi from Huntington Beach. Hello, Adrian. Melanie is from rainy Miami. Camilla's in Tucson, as she always is. Susan, Bellingham, Washington. Oh, by the way, we've also posted the link to see the CBS News piece on what we did on the Delta flight, so you'll see that. Colleen is saying hi from UC Berkeley, where we're preparing to cheer the Bears to victory at the Independence Bowl in Shreveport this Saturday. Will you be spending the New Year's in Tampa watching the Badgers at the Reliable, whatever the Reliable is? No, Colleen, I won't. Let me put this in perspective. The Badgers squeaked into the bowl games, let's face it. They became bowl eligible for the 22nd consecutive year, which is a lot to say, and we've got to give them kudos for that. But now, one of the reasons why I'm not going is I don't want to incur pain. Who are they playing in Tampa on New Year's Day? They're playing LSU. Their quarterback just won the Heisman. I'm going to make a prediction right now. The final score of the game is going to either be 47-7 or 47-10. That will be LSU, by the way. Remember, Wisconsin doesn't have a very imaginative playbook. As I said last week, their idea of a great offensive play is, let's run it up the middle. All right, enough out of that. I will be watching the game, and I'm hoping for the best, but not counting on it. All right. Priya saying she's watching from Irvine. Here we go. There is something I forgot to tell you. If you go online, you will also see, we've just posted it, our hidden gems of a city in California that doesn't get enough love. It deserves it. We gave you the hidden gems of Oakland, California. And as Priya just mentioned when she sent me a note, she says, I had no idea there's a gondola in the Oakland Zoo. Well, there isn't. Well, there is a gondola in the Oakland Zoo. There's another gondola in Lake Merritt, so watch it. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Adrian says, in 1970, I was youth hosteling through Europe and had to go to Linz to catch the boat down the Danube. Back then, the Ural Pass covered the boat trip, too. Nicely done. Okay, Diane says, hello from Roseville. Again, we're posting the thing on credit cards that are compensating you for delays. That's always good, as well as the Paris Olympics. Okay, Anne says, I heard that Puerto Rico raised their fees for cruise ships, so lost that port on a recent cruise. I'm not sure, Anne, last week. Anytime a port raises a head tax on a cruise line, that usually gets translated down to the passengers, as opposed to an extra surcharge or fee. I'll check into that for you. Terry wants to know, what's the best time to buy tickets for Spain? Barcelona, need to be there March 17th, flying out of LAX. I have to be there in time, because I need to be there on March 16th. Okay, well, here's the thing. We always say about 54 days out, you're coming up to it. I'd say take a look at tickets around the 3rd or 4th of January when reality sets in the first quarter airfares for all the airlines. 3rd or 4th of January, you take a look. Okay. Renu says, I agree. Menus in your hand. By the way, a little sneaky thing about menus that most people don't know, but I'm going to clue you in. In fact, we did a piece on it on CBS and another one on our show, The Travel Detective, on menu psychology at restaurants. Imagine you're holding a menu in your hand, okay? It opens up like this. Where do your eyes go first? It's all about gazing patterns. Where do your eyes go first? I will tell you. The upper right-hand corner. So a lot of restaurant consultants, and using fancy algorithms, figure, okay, if that's where your eyes are going to go first, we're going to put the dish that's the most expensive item on the menu there. Now, why did they do that? Because you're going to buy the most expensive dish? No, they're very clever. They put the most expensive dish in the upper right-hand corner, but right below it, they put the dish that gives them the most profit that they want you to buy. So you look up there and go, oh, I'm not doing that. I'll do that. Interesting, huh? And where do they put what they call the torpedoes, the ones they don't care about? Lower left-hand corner, that's the chicken fingers and the French fries. But it's more than just where they place the menu items. It's how they price them, what type font they use, and whether they actually even use numbers. And the number 9. If you're going to Denny's, you're going to see the number 9 a lot, right? Because everybody's looking for a bargain. If you're going to a high-end fine dining restaurant, you'll never see a 9. In fact, you may never even see a number. It may just say, printed out, 40 or 38, right? But, and then it's how they describe the dishes. The higher end the restaurant, the more they want you to have an emotional connection with the dish because you're paying for it. And they won't just say meatloaf. They'll say Aunt Jenny's meatloaf and tell you about Aunt Jenny. Next time you go to a restaurant, check that out. Anyway, there you go on that. Menus in your hand, though. I hate the QR code. And by the way, almost every restaurant that has that QR code, they have a printed menu in case their internet fails. Just ask, you'll get one. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. Someone's saying hi from Cave Creek. And hi there from Kay in Joliet, Illinois. Ramey, my good pal from the home show. Remember that? Gary Collins, Sarah Purcell. Hello, Ramey. Here we go. Jeff is saying, based on the history, the LSU QB will skip the bowl game. Ah, Jeff, you may have a point. If he skips the bowl game, Wisconsin will only lose by 20. Sorry. Zora says hello and have wonderful holidays. Thank you. Thank you for that. Debbie's saying hello on the MSC in the Dominican Republic. Okay. Katrina's saying hi from Alabama. Raymond says, since you're in Austria, enjoy some Wiener Schnitzel. I'm a pescatarian, Raymond. I'm going for the trout. Although my wife loves Wiener Schnitzel and can't get enough of it. All right, moving right along. One more thing I want you to know, and that is this. We may be on the verge of a sort of a ticket revolution in many U.S. markets where it will be cheaper to buy a one-way ticket than a round trip. So 2 one-way tickets versus 1 round trip, and you can split them between different airlines. It's also a good strategy if you think you need to cancel a flight so that you're not canceling maybe one leg of the flight you need, right? Think about that. We're going to be talking about that in subsequent weeks because it's something you need to know about. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to scroll up to some of the questions that you sent in. Here's one. My husband, this is from Carol. My husband and I are staying at the Venetian in Vegas next week. We are being charged a $45 per day resort fee. The pools are closed. Shouldn't we receive some type of credit? No. It's not about a credit. They shouldn't be charging you the resort fee at all. Don't they understand the legal implications that are about to happen with state attorneys general all around the United States? One by one, states are going after hotels for charging resort fees for either failing to disclose, not being transparent, or not justifying it when they do it. You know, I'll give you my joke of the week. A guy's checking out of the hotel with his wife, and he asks for the bill, and the bill's $500. And he said, $500 for one night in a room? He said, well, sir, we're a 5-star hotel. He said, well, wait a minute. I just wanted the room. He said, but why would that justify $500? He said, well, we have a pool. We have a spa. We have a golf course. We have this. We have that. And all that was available to you, but you didn't use it. He said, I didn't want to use it. He said, I'm sorry, sir. That's the deal. And the guy says, can I write you a check? Sure. So he's standing there with his wife. He writes the check, hands it to the front desk clerk, and the clerk looks at it and says, wait a minute. You just wrote me a check for $50. He said, I said it was $500. He said, oh, no, I deducted $450. He said, why? I said, you see my wife? She was here, but you didn't sleep with her. She was available. All right, there you go. So the point of all this is resort fees are still negotiable. Las Vegas is one of the biggest offenders because almost every hotel there says, even in their printed materials, mandatory resort fee. My argument is no such thing exists. Everything is negotiable, and they can't make their case. Now, there are a couple of hotels in Las Vegas now that are getting smart. They're actually marketing their hotel as resort fee free. Check them out. They're moving the needle. All right, next question here. From Chuck, what rules apply to hotel security deposits? Are properties subject to oversight or state statutes regarding disclosure and recovery? You're in a very gray area here. And the gray area is this. It's not a good deal because state innkeepers' laws are pretty loose on this. They don't really help you out. It's like the room safe in your room. Do you think that by using that room safe, you're protected if somebody rips it off or rips off stuff inside? No, the hotel is not liable for it, right? They clearly state that. Now, in the old days, you could put your belongings where? In the safe deposit box behind the front desk. Name a hotel in the year 2023 that has one. So be careful what you travel with. And for security deposits, that's another issue altogether because why are they asking for a security deposit? Well, some hotels will ask for a security deposit if you're traveling with a dog, in case the dog decides to relieve himself or herself. Some hotels will require a security deposit if you're a group of college kids and it's spring break. We all know about the chairs going out the window. However, this has to be negotiated ahead of time because what the hotel defines as damage may not actually be damage. And it may be a sort of insidious attempt to collect more money, assuming that you're going to mess up the room, right? Negotiate all of that up front. And now they're getting even more insidious because some hotels are charging you for an early check-in fee or even an early checkout fee. Who ever heard of that, right? Again, this is basically demanding that you have a conversation with a hotel before you ever go online and just hit the keystroke and think you got a great deal on the room, right? Now, as far as the other junk fees, the resort fees, there have been many settlements out there from hotels in states like Nebraska, but it set precedent, and the District of Columbia, where state attorneys general have gotten major hotel chains, in one case Marriott, to agree that starting immediately, if they're going to have a resort fee or charge you one or want to charge you one, they have to post it in the same typeface and font and the same position next to where they're quoting the room rate. At least you know what you're getting into. But even having said that, it doesn't mean you have to pay the resort fee. Again, it's negotiable. You need to have a conversation. Okay? All right, let me keep going here. Hold on a second. Mary wants to know, are resort fees a way to get around government per diem limits? No. I mean, that might be incidental to that, but that's not the real reason. Resort fees are a tax dodge, just like ancillary fees at airlines are a tax dodge. Let me run the numbers for you. Airline fares are taxed at a very high federal excise tax rate. So if an airline charges you, let's say, $100 for the ticket, they may net only $38 to $40 of that. The rest is going to taxes. But if they charge you $50 to check a bag, that's not a fare. That's a fee, and it only gets taxed at the local 6 or 7% sales tax, so the airline retains much more of that fee. So that's why you see a lot of the ultra low-cost carriers, Spirit and Frontier, offering $2 and $3 fares, because they don't care, because they don't want to give that money to the government anyway. They want to make their money on everything else short of breathing, which is not taxed as a fare, but taxed as a fee. Okay? So there you go. Now you know. All right, here's one from Nick who says, I heard you can travel to Argentina and Chile for a bargain. What are your thoughts on traveling there? Is it safe? And what are the must-dos and where to stay? Okay, well, let's do one country at a time. Argentina is a true bargain. They continue to devalue their peso. Usually at this time of the year, I'm in Argentina doing my Christmas shopping because you can't beat the prices, literally. And I'm not going down there just to buy leather jackets. It's anything. Plus, the cost of basic goods and services is a tremendous bargain. Now, they just elected a new president who ran on a campaign of replacing the Argentine peso with the U.S. dollar. And I think within 48 hours of him taking office, which I think was yesterday, he decided that wasn't such a good idea. Argentina has had a terrible record and a terrible history of being unable to repay its foreign debt. We are seeing that again as we speak. But for the moment, it maintains a great bargain opportunity for us, right? The power of the U.S. dollar. Chile is less of a bargain, but it's still a great opportunity because the prices are still reasonable and affordable. Now, if I were you, I would only pick one on one trip at a time because you have too much ground to cover, especially in Argentina. Chile, that little string bean of a country, has everything, by the way. They've got the driest desert in the world, the Atacama in the north. They've got beautiful towns like La Serena on the Pacific. They've got the Lake District near Santiago, and of course, Patagonia, all the way down to Antarctica. But if you're going to go to Argentina, then you have, of course, the Andes, and you have wine country in Mendoza, where they have more wineries, about 880 of them than Napa, that Napa just dreams about, and great wines, especially the Malbecs, as you know. The Chilean wines are interesting. I'm going to get some people in Chile angry at me, but listen up. Argentina is a wine-producing country, and they're producing wine also for themselves. They love their wine. Chileans are not by design wine drinkers. And for a long period of time, remember when Chilean wines were considered so hot? One of the reasons was we had sanctions against the South African government, where the wines are great, and they were transshipping that wine through Chile and relabeling it as Chilean wine. And all of a sudden, the Chilean wines are getting rave reviews. But those wines were for export, of course, and they had been mislabeled, if you'll excuse the expression. That's how they got their reputation. Now, they've gotten better over the years, but the very coolest wines, you'll find them in Argentina at a great price. All right, let's keep going. Oh, Ju's on board. She says, welcome from Japan. And by the way, they just released the data from Hilton on the most searched destinations for the Christmas holidays. What do you think number one is? It's New York. Number two, Orlando. And what's number five, which is indicative of where they are right now? It's Hawaii. Because Hawaii, speaking of Japan, is hoping that the Japanese market will return. They need them desperately. They need you desperately. If you saw our posts from Maui, we did the radio show there. We also did a number of stories there with the people there, very much immersed in the recovery process. And we wish them the happiest of holidays, because we're dealing with 7,200 people who've been essentially permanently displaced, 2,200 structures destroyed, 120 restaurants obliterated, and it's not going to be rebuilt anytime soon. So just so you know. Okay, let's keep going here. You know what? Let's go to the photo of the week. How about that? Anyone want to guess where that was taken? Most people can't. I don't think. All right, let's see it. Go ahead, Anthony. Post who took the picture. There we go. Lillian Berger. And where was she? China. Now, what's interesting is how many people are going to China these days. China is just beginning to do what? Is just beginning to come out. So when you see what we talk about revenge travel, and we see all of us going out there, all those numbers, as rich and as robust as they are, doesn't take into account that the Chinese really haven't started traveling yet. And neither have the Japanese. That's what Hawaii is hoping for, simply because they need it. And the Japanese market in Japan is a serious, serious market indeed. I'm now scrolling down to find more of your questions. Give me 1 second, because I know they're here. It's just difficult to find right now. Give me one more second, and we will find them, because I want to be able to answer everybody's question today. It's almost there. And where is it? Still looking. Anthony, if you've got those questions, if you can post them up for me, because I can't find them on my screen. But in the meantime, I'll say hello to Diane from Roseville, California. Okay, the first question we just answered, of course, about security deposits. Very little oversight there. Everything open to negotiation. Here's one. Hold on to that question for a second. They're planning to go to India in January, and she wants to know if Expedia is a legitimate service to use for a place outside of the States. Of course it is. Expedia books travel worldwide. Worldwide. However, it's not about whether you want to use Expedia or not. It's whether or not your itinerary is complicated or not. And if you're going to India, something tells me it is, you might want to talk to a travel advisor to have that conversation. And again, nothing against Expedia, but we have to be careful about the commoditization of travel. If you're going to India, you haven't told me much about what you want to do there, where you're staying, what states you may be visiting, what airlines you want to travel, how much you want to spend at a hotel. It's a good idea to find an agent or a travel advisor who specializes in that country and have that conversation. Okay, let's go to the next question, Anthony, if you can. We're scrolling through. Here's from Rory. When would be a good time to look for flights from New York City to Nairobi for September 2024? Okay, hold on to that thought. There are no reasonably good and cheap flights to Nairobi right now. And Kenya Airways flies it nonstop 2 to 3 days a week. But let me suggest something else to you. It's called the RTW ticket. And the RTW ticket stands for around the world. If you take a look at the price of a round trip ticket to Nairobi in September, for example, and then compare it to a round the world ticket that you can construct yourself, that only requirements are you continue traveling in the same direction, can't double back, and you, depending on the kind of ticket you buy, you have to complete all your travel within either 6 months or a year. That RTW ticket becomes an economically valuable bargain and much more efficient in terms of spreading out your travel. All right? And if you're still chasing miles, you'll get miles for that travel too. Remember, you have 6 months at the minimum to complete your trip, or a year, depending on the type. There's one company in Oakland called Airtreks, that's AIRTREKS, because it's a complicated ticket to write, because it involves usually more than one airline, but it's going through the strategic alliances, either Star, One World, or SkyTeam. And it's a great, great alternative to doing the traditional just round-trip expensive ticket to certain places that are not known for discount fares. All right, next question. Hey, please fill us in on how to get in and out of a single fabulous Christmas market with as minimal travel hassle as possible. Well, where am I? I'm in Linz in Austria, one of the homes of the Christmas markets. I've already been to 3 of them, right? I've been to one in Vienna, of course. Actually, been 2 in Vienna. And then there's one in Salzburg. But for me, it's not about the crowds. It's about the differentiation. And so if you want a really great Christmas market, Salzburg's got a lot of them, and they're great. Remember The Sound of Music? And then I'm very partial to the Munich Christmas market. They do a great job, because where they do the best Christmas markets is where they tend to have the best markets anyway. And the Munich markets are tremendous. So are the markets in Vienna. Okay? It'll be crowded, right? But just know that those are the 2 I like. Next question. That was the question about the Christmas market. Here's one from Jacob. Or from Heather. Had a trip planned to Israel for October, looking to get refunded for tours I pre-booked. What course of action do you suggest in this case? Do you think I'll be able to visit Israel next year? Well, first of all, believe it or not, you can actually visit Israel now. Now, I know some of you think I'm crazy about that, but you can. Take a look at the map. There's the West Bank and Gaza, that's it. Everything else is open and relatively free right now. But I understand your concerns. But you didn't tell me this. Who canceled the trip? Was it you or the tour operator? It could have been the tour operator, because remember, there's an exclusion in insurance policies that are given to tour operators and airlines as well, that if war is declared, they don't get insurance. So of course they're going to cancel, because they can't operate. And if they cancel, you're due a full refund. If you cancel, they might be courteous and give you a credit, but you might also lose all your money. But if they cancel, then you've got that credit. The answer is going to Israel next year shouldn't be a problem. But I would suggest that you book it relatively soon, because when it's time to go back, everybody's going to go at the same time. Next question. From Wendy, I'm looking to take a trip to Hawaii with a family in 2024. Which island do you recommend? Oh my goodness. Well, every island is so different. Depends on what you want to do and how much off the grid you want to be. You want to be really off the grid, go to Molokai. Or a little bit less off the grid, Lanai. But if you want, a great location, I'm a big fan of Kauai, because you've got the Nepali coast and the Kalalau Trail. It's phenomenal. How many movies have been shot there because it had to replicate paradise? I rest my case. Listen, I'm a big fan of Honolulu if you go to the North Shore, or you go outside of Honolulu, meaning Oahu, right? And then, of course, there's the Big Island, which doesn't get enough love. And so you need to tell me, before I can answer that question, what is it that you want to do there? And please don't say relax. Tell me what you want to do. Do you want to play golf? Do you want to swim, snorkel, learn to surf, kite surf? Are you a foodie? Give me more information and I can give you a much more specific and hopefully helpful answer. Next question. From Stephen, is it true that Brazilians require Americans to show that they have at least $2,000 in their bank accounts before they let them in their country? No. What Brazil and many other countries are doing is they're charging you a visa fee now. Let's hear it for reciprocity. And They want to make sure you have a round-trip ticket and that you can prove that you have a hotel reservation. They don't want you to become a ward of the state, so to speak. Okay? That's the deal there. Next question. Will the Christmas market still be open between Christmas and New Year's? Diane, the answer to that is it's on a case-by-case basis. There is no one answer for that. You're going to have to call the individual tourist boards of those countries or those cities in those countries to find out. Right? They're pop-ups, and they can also pop down. All right. Let's keep going here. Give me a second. I'm scrolling down. Okay, Clifford wants to know, I'm sorry, here we got a few more here. Lorena has a question based on what I had to say about American Express last week. Remember that? And she says, if you don't renew your Delta American Express card, will you lose the miles you have in your account? Not necessarily, but do what I do, right? If you're going to cancel a card, it can be any card. It can be Chase, American Express, Capital One, any card that has a rewards program. Get your rewards out in some tangible way before you cancel the account. And remember, on all frequent flyer programs, as tough as they can be these days, you can still look out up to 330 days to be able to do that. Just plan strategically, but you don't want to leave anything in your account if you're going to cancel the account. All right? So get creative. Okay. All right. Drew says, I'm thinking of going to Sydney for the new year. Is that a good time? Well, you know what they do at the Harbour Bridge in Sydney? Best fireworks show ever. But other than that, it's high season, of course, because it's Southern Hemisphere. But if I were you, I wouldn't just go to Sydney. I'd go to Melbourne, and then I'd really have some fun, head down south to Hobart, and you'll have a great time in Tasmania. All right. All right. So Sue says, when is a good time to get airfare from Seattle to Palm Springs? You didn't tell me when you wanted to go, so please do that. Same thing from Clifford. When is a good time to buy airfares to Iceland? When do you want to go? Sue says, first week in April. Okay. Well, April's a great month, isn't it? Because the season's almost over. So if you look at around January 15th or January 30th, you should find some great deals. Okay. Now Clifford says flights from SFO to Iceland during September of next year. Okay. Again, 54 days out. Look at it maybe May or June. You could even sneak into the end of June if you wanted to. That's when you do it. Okay. All right. Diane says, I already answered Diane's questions. Diane says, sometimes when you call to cancel a credit card, they will offer to credit your account the annual fee amount to keep you. Of course they will. Because the credit cards don't just make money on the annual fees, they make money on the interest. But again, I want all of you to think for a second. Open your wallets. Spread out your cards. I know you have more than one. I do too. Spread out your cards and answer this question. What are the tangible benefits I'm getting with this card? How much interest am I paying if I don't pay it off in full every month? What's the annual fee? And then go down their list of perks that you supposedly get with that annual fee. Are you using those perks? Are you taking advantage of it? And if the answer to those questions is no or I don't think so, then you might want to consider getting rid of a co-branded card, which is attached to one particular airline's mileage program, and getting what else? A cashback card. Which are the best cashback cards? Well, there's Capital One, there's Chase, there's Citibank, and a nice surprise, Costco. Costco's a great cashback card. It all depends on how you want to use it. But be honest with yourself. If you're just holding onto a card to get miles or points, have you not heard what I've been saying for the last 6 months? The mileage programs are getting devalued by the hour. The mileage is becoming akin to like Venezuelan currency. It's not good. So there you go. Okay. Priya wants to know Patagonia or Antarctica for November of 24. Well, get out the map. Do both. Go all the way down to Ushuaia, then get on the ship and do Antarctica. And if you do it right, you can even go through the Falkland Islands and then head further south. They're relatively close to each other at that point. Okay. Let's go back here very quickly before we run out of time. I think I got everybody today. I hope I did. If I didn't, you know where to find me. Peter at petergreenberg.com. We'll answer it not only here, but we'll also answer it on our radio show, Eye on Travel on CBS, which this Saturday, is coming from Cannes on the French Riviera. So I hope you will tune in and see it. If you can't find it in your market, it's easy to listen to it. We stream it live, petergreenberg.com, at about 10:05 a.m. on Saturday mornings Eastern Time. All right, so if we missed your question, send it to me, Peter at petergreenberg.com. Of course, go to our website. You'll see the stuff we just posted on Oakland, the hidden gems of Oakland. We'll talk about the credit cards that will actually compensate you if the airline is delayed or cancels your flight. They're not going to volunteer that information. You need to know it based on the card you have. Once again, get out your cards, spread them out, see what the perks are. And of course, strategies on going to the Paris Olympics in 2024. So we'll see you Saturday. Of course, you can always see our shows, Hidden and the Royal Tour and the Travel Detective, either on PBS, Amazon Prime, or Apple TV Plus. I'll be off the Danube and headed to my other location very soon. We will see you next week from another location somewhere around the world. And thank you for watching. Please be safe. And for all of us here, happy holidays.